Welcome back to Twitch and Box Sports Talk. It's week 12. I got to be honest with you, I'm not looking forward to this week's edition of Twitch and Box because Chiefs had a rough loss to the Broncos, and there's been nothing but trash talking the last couple days. And it looks like we're going to have a couple Broncos fans out here. So, I don't know. Box, you can get it rolling. I mean, you're the one on the biggest high right now.
Definitely on the biggest high. We're going to roll in the things that made us twitch. Personally, my thing that made me twitch is the Broncos-Chiefs game, how many penalties there were across the board. Like, some of them, I understand, like, okay, you have to call them. But then, and this is going to sound detrimental to a Broncos fan, but we have a false start on the big play that gets us well in the field goal range. And they don't call that, but they're calling all this nitty-gritty, picky stuff throughout the game. And I said multiple times throughout the game to multiple people, at that point I was like, I don't care if the Broncos lose. I'm just tired of all these penalties because I felt like the game took 10,000 years to get done, which I'm fine, watching my team play. But like, it would be big play and then a penalty, or the Chiefs would have a negative play, but we'd get a penalty. Or I feel like across the board there's just a lot of penalties, and you can't play winning playoff football like that. You can't expect to win games when there's 20 penalties in a game. So it was kind of aggravating as a fan just to watch in general. My honorable mention for things that made me twitch for the Falcons. I don't really have much to say. I no longer feel bad about the 28-3. The Falcons, I feel nothing but hatred towards you now because of what you're doing to me. So that's all I got to say about that.
Yeah. So my thing that made me twitch the most, it was going to be the Jalen Ramsey thing, but after the fact, after the, what was it? I think it was 20-9 game.
Yeah.
The Steelers hold the Bengals to a fourth down. It's 4th and 1, and he throws a punch, and so it gives them a first down at the Pittsburgh 25. But Pittsburgh ended up holding serve. Otherwise, I might feel a little bit differently because he said it allowed them to get within one score. And but as we know now, like I don't condone violence, but I don't blame Jalen Ramsey at all.
Yeah, for what he did.
Mike Tomlin said today, he said that he didn't give a speech. There's no speech for an act like that. Like, just whatever happens naturally is basically. Yeah. So, like, he had Ramsey's back. But my thing that made me twitch the most this week was the Sunday night game, the 6-3 Lions versus the 7-2 Eagles. We've talked about all year, two NFC favorites. And granted, both defenses, including the Lions defense, both really showed up to play. So there was a really good chance that it would, with the offensive struggles and finishing drives for the Lions, it didn't look likely in a 16-9 game with 2 minutes left that they were going to most likely have to drive 80 yards for a touchdown to tie the game. That being said, it's 3rd and 10, and it was just I thought a terrible pass interference call, and this kind of ended the game after that was first down. Philly ran. They didn't even need to because then Detroit only had one more timeout anyway. But that's a bad taste.
Yeah.
Again, it probably wasn't going to make a big impact on the game. I said because they were struggling, but Detroit had scored finally the drive before that, and on top of there would have been about a minute 45 left to go in the game. And they stopped him on a 3rd and 10. The pass wasn't even close. I would even argue it was even a catchable football. Number one. I said, but then, if Detroit goes down and gets that, again, this is all hypothetical, but this is you're talking about a 6-3, 7-2, very high chance on, again, I come back to always these tiebreakers. So, why not give Detroit another chance? I said, and what they call for pass interference, if you go back and look at it, was A.J. Brown. If anything, looked like he pushed off. There was basically no contact by Detroit, so it was a terrible call. And you look at it now, and here's the swing. Now you have Detroit sitting there at 6-4, and Philadelphia sitting there at 8-2. So they're up by 2 with the tiebreaker. So essentially 3 games with 7 to go. So why does that matter? Well, at least give Detroit the opportunity because you're talking about it, the difference between a number 1 seed and then playing that game. If again, we have the Rams, we have the Seahawks, we have these other teams up there that could make for the NFC title game. But these are a short list, and if Detroit wins that game. They're even. Now they're basically up 3 games, so it's that big of a swing, and it was just anticlimactic. It was a bad call. It wasn't even catchable, and at least what Detroit probably scored Probably not. Like the Eagles' front seven was getting pressure all night, but give them a chance rather than just a bad pass interference penalty and just run out the clock. Like, well, there was nothing. It was just in the game. Give it to the fans. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Like that just pissed me off. Like,
I mean, it's two of your premier teams in the league, and
right.
doing it that
And if
way.
they come back and say, and because of that bad call, I said again, there's 100 different things in any football game, so you could go back and forth in any football game.
Yeah.
But still, like you give an opportunity, like Detroit could have tied it, and I said there's too much at stake to mess it up like that. I know that those things happen, but like that was pissed me off.
Made you twitch?
It made me twitch.
Well, here's what made me twitch. We had a side bet going on this Broncos-Chiefs game, and I lost. And so I've paid good money for a Chiefs-Broncos rematch on Christmas Day. And we'll get into it later, but I'm going to have to pay that debt
At the game.
on Christmas, and I'm going to have to pay for it. So, man, I don't even know if we'll do a State of the Chiefs this week
Might just skip it.
because that might be what made me twitch.
Very much so.
So, there we go.
I'm going to take off into our offensive and defensive players of the week here. I have a quick shout out. Jacoby Brissett completed a NFL record 47 completions. So 47 passes this week. Shout out to Jacoby Brissett, solid backup quarterback playing for the Cardinals down there. 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. They lost. It was pretty bad against the 49ers, but that also shows why the Cardinals can't win games, because if you have your quarterback dropping back 57 times to throw the ball throughout a game when your team is not very good defensively, you're probably not going to be very successful, which that showed. But my real offensive player of the week is Dak Prescott. Dak Prescott threw for 296 and 4 touchdowns across the board. Had a really good game. George Pickens deserves an honorable mention with 144 yards and a touchdown with a long at 37. But a lot of those catches, he's back to just running people over, doing, for lack of a better term, George Pickens things. Just
And that one almost touchdown didn't count where
Yeah.
he just couldn't keep his footing. Like,
the guy's a freak. He was very under the radar in the draft, and now he's a dude. Twitch is over here just twitching about not having him on his team anymore, but the Cowboys offense obviously shows they're still explosive. That they could figure out their defense, they'd be a really scary team in the long stretch, but it's not going to happen.
Yeah, and earlier this year I had Dak Prescott as my offensive player of the week. So, I mean, it's crazy that you look at where they're at. I mean, they've got some key components in the right spot, and they've still got some stuff to do, and I'm definitely nervous about that's going to be the Christmas, or not Christmas,
Yeah,
that's going to be the Thanksgiving
Yeah.
game. Chiefs have to go down to Dallas and play the Cowboys on a short week. So, I don't know. I don't want anything bad to happen to Dak, but man,
So that offense is scary.
yeah, they might be the real deal.
Yeah.
my offensive player of the week, I'm going to go with Josh Allen against the game against the Bucks.
Yeah.
A game that saw 9 lead changes and an offense in Buffalo, who has been so back and forth from one week to one week, and only putting up whatever it was, 13 points or whatever it was to the Dolphins the week before, and just
Yeah.
a real stinker. Like I said, 9 lead changes. Baker Mayfield did what he needed to do, and then every time they needed an answer, Josh Allen finished with 19 of 30. He did have 2 picks, but 3 touchdowns, but also added 6 rushes for 40 yards and 3 more touchdowns. So 6 total touchdowns, and willing his team to win and putting up 44 and beating a good Bucks team at home. I feel like I said, like as much as I believe the Patriots are a solid team, I think the Bills are still 7. What are they 7-3 because they got their bye? So they're still right there. They're still in play for the number 1 seed, and then Josh Allen still at his best, still playing at MVP level. And so I had him for the 6 touchdowns on top of way to follow up after that performance last week against one of the worst teams, if not one of the Dolphins, and then beating a good Bucks team at home.
The only asterisk for that is his interception that he threw was probably an interception that you get benched on probably 30 teams in the NFL with.
Yeah.
But since you're Josh Allen, you can do whatever you want. Because it was like a basketball pass across the middle, right to the middle linebacker, right in the hands. I mean, might be the almost Jameis Winston bad interception. Had some Jameis Winston action this week. I was pretty excited.
I like that dance move.
Didn't really perform didn't really have a Jameis Winston type day, but still good to see him out there playing.
He's not Ryan Fitzpatrick.
Rolling into our defensive player of the weeks, Myles Garrett is my defensive player of the week with another 4 sacks in the losing effort. He has, 15 sacks already? 15 sacks and It's only rolling into week 12 here. I mean, on pace to beat Michael Strahan and T.J. Watt's record, hypothetically speaking, with quotation marks around it. But yeah, I mean, Myles Garrett, he's in this situation because of himself. Obviously, like we saw the contract negotiation this summer that said he wanted out of town, and they offered him a $160 million deal or whatever it was, and he said, I'll come back. So, I mean, he kind of put himself in this situation for sure, but good for him. He's probably going to break the sack record.
And that was the asterisk we were talking about before the podcast. I said, I can remember where I was at when Strahan took that record, and it was against the Packers, and Brett Favre just gave him the sack. And it was like, ha, ha, ha. And so, then he's up there tied with T.J. Watt. And you go, well, T.J. probably has earned that more so than Strahan. But Myles Garrett, and I know you hate him, Chris, being a Steelers fan.
It's
the Mason Rudolph, like I said.
But you picked him at the beginning of the year as your defensive player of the year.
I did, because I respect his talent, and it's like he can't argue with it.
Yeah, so here he is. I mean, he's coming out and having the year that you predicted he would have, and it's been impressive to watch, for sure.
Yeah.
So
He's dominating the numbers like TJ used to in that race, but now the last couple of years, Myles kind of had that edge over TJ.
Yeah.
My defensive player of the week, kind of a random one, but I have rookie safety Cameron Kitchens of the Los Angeles Rams for his 2 picks against Sam Darnold. Big divisional game, 7-2 teams, and was instrumental. Also had a couple other key pass breakups for the Rams. Who, like I said, they got the big win. I can't remember on the score right in front of me. Was it 18-16 or something like that? But the Rams the Seahawks just kind of ran out of time as they got a little momentum late. I said, but for the most part, kept that passing game in check, and that was for his 2 interceptions.
Yeah, very much so. A couple of names on the injury report here. I definitely missed some guys this week. There was a lot of guys that went out of games that might not be on the injury report, but who knows? Again, late in the season. But Aaron Rodgers with a wrist injury, doesn't need surgery, but he'll be out a while. Jordan Love out with he didn't clear concussion protocol, so he will be out again this week. Josh Jacobs out with a knee injury. He's on a week-to-week basis. Dylan Gabriel goes out with a head injury. So we got some Shedeur Sanders action this weekend. It was about what the haters expected, very much so. Michael Penix Jr. out with a knee injury that's looking to end his season. So Kirk O'Chains will be leading the Falcons from here on out. So it'll be interesting to see how that interacts down there. And then C.J. Stroud out with a concussion this week as well. So a couple big names there. Rodgers probably... for Twitch, Rodgers is the biggest one because now you have Mason Rudolph leading your division.
Guess who's back?
Yeah, Mason Rudolph's back, boys.
Yeah.
And then it'll be interesting to see what Shedeur does as QB1 for a whole week to prepare instead of just getting thrown in the game. It'll be interesting. I feel like this is going to be. I'm not going to watch it because it's the Browns, but I'll be interested to look at the stat line after and see how he performed across the board. But we're going to roll into our new playoff bracket here, rolling into Week 12. We have so about every 4 weeks we've redone our playoff brackets. This week we're not going to do the offensive and defensive player of the weeks and all that stuff because we're later in the season. I feel like we're going to say the top 3 same guys that we've been saying since the last couple times. But rolling into the playoffs here, we'll start with the AFC, the better side in my personal opinion. I have the Colts at 1, the Patriots at 2, Broncos at 3. I got the Bills coming in at 5, the Jags at 6, and the Chargers catching that 7 seed. So the Chiefs are out of this one. I obviously kicked the Steelers out of this one after Rodgers going down. I didn't believe. Twitch has been saying it the whole season, so I give Twitch his flowers on that one. But with A-Rod out of there, and I said the reason the Steelers were going to get over that hump this year was because they had that veteran leadership at quarterback. Granted, Mason Rudolph is a veteran, but he's not Aaron Rodgers.
Right.
But
More of a disabled veteran.
And not really an asterisk, but something I'd like to say is I could see the Bills winning the division over the Pats coming down the stretch here. The Bills have a lot easier schedule looking to finish out the season compared to the Patriots. And I don't know if the Patriots slip up at all, but if they do, and they still have to play the Bills one more time, it'll be interesting to see what happens in that AFC East. I think they're definitely both playoff caliber teams across the board.
You want to give me my AFC now?
Yeah,
Let me see that pin right now. Because I've been fighting it since we've been sitting here this whole time.
Oh, look who's crossing stuff out
I
already.
am.
Wow.
And I might change it in 30 minutes again.
Oh, man.
I still think because of that schedule and because of, take away the bad performance against Miami, it's like it's a quarterback-driven league. And I know there are a lot of quarterbacks that have been inconsistent, but that's just the difference. Whoever doesn't win that division is going to be the 5 seed, obviously, and I think whoever wins is going to be the 1, which brings me to who I changed. I had the Patriots. I was ballsy enough with their schedule only having 2 losses at 9-2, but I went back on it, and I have the Bills at my 1 seed. Broncos, I feel like hold serve. Sorry, this is the first time I was giving Kansas City the benefit of the doubt, if not even for the division with the playoffs. But I do have the Broncos finishing and winning the AFC West, so new divisional champion for the first time in 10 years. We both had Denver going to the playoffs from our preseason show, but I didn't take you serious as far as Denver actually being the divisional winner. So Colts with a pretty brutal rough stretch at the end of the year. Between those 4 teams between the Patriots, Bills, and stuff, I just feel like Colts have been legitimate all year, but I think they have a couple losses. So they finished with 4 or 5 losses is what I think, and so that's why I have the Colts at 3.
Hopefully one next week.
Yeah.
We'll see.
And I've been saying it since they were 1-5, unfortunately, but I have the Ravens winning the division. Their next 3 games. I had 1-5. Everybody thought I was crazy.
Yeah, you
or just
did.
a real pessimistic Steeler fan. But
That's why we don't have any Steelers fans supporting our
We
show.
have no
Right.
Steelers subscribers.
No, because the real Steelers fans knew. They saw it coming too. They've seen this movie before. But with Baltimore, I mean, just like over the next month, they play the Jets. They play the Browns again. I think they play the Bengals. I don't think they played them twice. They play us. So it's like I have the Ravens finishing 4, win the division. The Patriots at 5. They can go anywhere from the 1 seed to the 5 seed.
Yeah, very much so.
But I have them at the 5. Although the Chargers and the Jaguars are up on the Chiefs, I have the Chiefs actually going to be the 6th seed, maybe losing 1 more. So they have to obviously win 2 more games than the Jags do. But with that brutal schedule, and then I feel like the Chargers are going to. I just don't trust the Chargers or the Jaguars in between the 2 of them. I know the Jaguars just put a pretty good beat down on the Chargers.
Yeah.
But I trust them and Herbert and Harbaugh over I do the inconsistent Jaguars. So for that reason, I'm picking the Chargers at the 7th seed.
Yeah.
So
Still 3 FC West teams in there.
Yeah.
I don't see that happening, but
Yeah, I don't.
let's see.
Yeah, well, interesting to see what happens in the AFC East race for sure, and then also be interesting to see what happens, who gets that 6, 7 seed. 'Cause I feel like the 5 seed's locked up by an AFC East team for sure.
Oh, yeah.
So it's really fighting for the last 2 wild
Yeah.
card spots out of 3 teams or 4 teams. Because
Well-
the Texans could go on a run here and maybe
Yeah.
steal one of those spots from the Jags or the Chargers if they slip up. So
or us, we'll be.
Or
We'll,
the
we'll,
Steelers-
I've been saying the whole year. I will say we'll be either the last team in or the first team out.
yeah, so the Steelers make a push. It'll be interesting to see.
So yeah, you have the Chiefs, Chargers, Jags, and Steelers basically fighting for those last 2,
Fighting for
and
2
Texans.
spots.
I do agree with the Texans too.
Yeah.
It's just if they can overcome that 0-3 start, but I've been saying all year I trust that Texans defense. So
Yeah, very much so. Rolling to the NFC here, I have the Rams at the 1 seed, the Eagles taking the 2 seed, the Lions at the 3 seed, and the Bucks getting the 4 seed. Seahawks get the 5 seed, the Bears getting the 6 seed, and the Panthers sneaking in for the 7 seed there at the end.
That's crazy.
At the bottom. Would have never thought I would have thrown them in my playoff hunt, but
yeah,
here they are.
And don't send me more John Daly.
Yeah, John
Panthers
Daly,
meme-
Tiger Woods.
memes. Jesus, that's just crazy.
They're so good though. But yeah, I feel like the NFC, the top. There's definitely 6 or not 6 teams. There's definitely 5 teams on here for sure that are locked in the playoffs unless something detrimental happens, for sure.
Yeah.
And then I feel like the Bears have made a good, solid effort to say, hey, we deserve a playoff spot. But I don't have 100% faith in the Bears being able to win some of these close games and stuff to play the Lions again. But also I think the Lions offense, even though they've looked down this last week against the Eagles on Sunday Night Football, I still think the Lions get back to Lions football and start playing as explosive as they have been. So I think the Lions catch the Bears for that NFC North. And then the Seahawks and Rams, another kind of interchangeable one. I think the Rams get it because they won this last game. And granted, they have to go up there again, but I like the Rams. I've liked the Rams all season.
yeah,
I think the Seahawks will be a scary team to play coming out of the
playoffs.
wild card for sure, though.
Yeah, that was obviously the one I kept going back and forth because I trust Matthew Stafford and he's just flying under the radar. A couple more touchdowns this week, so whatever it's been. 7 games, and he's got. Did he end with 2 or 3 touchdowns?
I think he had 3. I think he scored all 3.
And didn't have an interception, right?
Yeah.
So we're talking the last 7 games, 23 touchdowns and no interceptions. That being said, I have them still outside the division, but I'm not going to lie, it's from NFC fandom purely. But like Eagles, I feel like they still have not figured it out 100% on offense, and I feel like their defense is clicking. They've held most offenses in check from 3 quarters before everybody was hurt in Tampa Bay and Kansas City and Detroit last week. I feel like, and even Green Bay. I know Green Bay's been kind of up and down. But still holding Green Bay to only 7 points 2 weeks ago. I feel like this Philly defense is really figuring out ways to win, and they're the Super Bowl chance. And so until somebody knocks them off, I'm gonna roll with them at the 1 seed. And then 2 seed, I actually have the Seahawks. So you had the Rams 1 and then Eagles 2. So I have the Eagles and then I have the Seahawks, just because the Seahawks, I said they turned the ball over 4 times and still lost by 2. And I think when they up until that point, though, 3 games previously, like over the last month, they feel like or look like the most balanced team. I mean, from their front 7 to their secondary to big plays and returns for touchdowns to a good run game to 3 solid wide receivers and Sam Darnold, who up until last week wasn't playing like New York Jets Sam Darnold. So I have the Seahawks getting revenge. They might finish with the same record as the Rams, but I have them winning the division and getting back when they play in Seattle. Lions at 3. I just trust that offense. Those are my 2 favorite NFC teams to watch this year, the Seahawks and Lions. But I trust the Lions to go on a run over the inconsistent Packers and the Bears. Bucks I have at 4, just because that's still with the Panthers being a feel-good story and the Falcons from week to week. It's pretty obvious. Like even in the loss to Buffalo and the loss to Philly, and so I said like Baker Mayfield's played really well up until the first 6 weeks of the season. He was an MVP candidate, and still playing really good football. So Bucks at 4. I have the Rams at 5, and then I have the Packers at 6. And then I kept going back and forth with a couple teams here with the Panthers, with the Niners. I just don't trust the Niners offense, but I trust the history and too many injuries on defense, I think. But I think they'll hang around just because of the franchise. I mean, the Niners are usually always there too.
Yeah.
But I'm going to go with the Bears because of their 7-3 start. And like I said, do I think that they'll make any damage? No. I said, but like, give Caleb Williams. I wasn't a believer, like I said, last year. I said, but like, in the big moments, I said, granted, they were against the Bengals, and granted, they were against the Giants. Like, when the game, completely different quarterback, the last 2 drives of each of one of those games when they needed a touchdown. So, I hope he can build off of that. But I have the Bears squeaking in at the 7 seed.
I will say, looking at the scorecard, Box doesn't have anything scratched out. You have like 6 or 7 teams that you're like back and forth on the bubble about where we.
I got to pretty much.
I mean, it's okay.
Well, I've got the same teams, but I keep changing the plays. Like I said, between the Bills and Patriots. Yes, the Bills and the Patriots, and then like I said, the Chargers. And then like I said, the Seahawks, Rams on the NFC. I keep going back and forth on that one.
The only teams that we have different is you have the Chiefs in, and I don't. I have the Panthers in, and you have the Packers.
That's it.
Yeah.
And this,
I feel kind of silly leaving the Packers out, but I don't trust them at all, man.
Yeah.
They're the worst team in the league. I've been saying it.
Been saying that
for like a month now.
Yeah.
But like they're good, but
Yeah.
they suck at the same time, and I don't know how to describe it.
And we have several different as far as where their
the
seedings
seedings
at.
for sure.
Yeah.
But that's our playoff prediction. Down below in the comments, feel free to drop if you think we left anything out, or if you think that we're crazy for putting people where we put them. And we'd love to hear your feedback on here across the board. Sorry, Finn. The Bengals are not making the playoffs. Tried to make an argument for it earlier. I don't think it's happening. But, rolling to the next one. We're gonna recap some stuff that happened this week. Got a couple questions for you guys, along with the question of the week. First question is the Ja'Marr Chase, Jalen Ramsey debacle, you could say. Jalen Ramsey seemed to be in the wrong until they went back and reviewed the film, and now Ja'Marr Chase got suspended for a week from it because he spit on Jalen Ramsey, or spit at him, however you like to look at it. So I understand why Jalen Ramsey did what he did, but I think it also shows the frustration that Ja'Marr has towards the Bengals operation and it's
And
also
the Steelers.
It's a divisional game, so it makes sense.
He hates the Steelers.
And Jalen Ramsey's always been a guy to talk shit. He's not as good as he once was, but he's as good once as he ever was.
Yeah.
across the board. But here's a question for everybody around the table. I'd like everybody's opinion on this is, do we think the Chiefs miss the playoffs this year after this and they play the Colts and they have a short week going to the Cowboys? So, I mean, you got a tough stretch here across the board.
I don't think they will. I know they have a tough stretch. They have a couple games. They play the Broncos again, the Chargers again, have the Colts coming up off a bye. But I've been saying it all year. The same thing. I trust the Mahomes. I said, to me, it's almost. I feel like they're almost embarrassed the fact they didn't win the division. I said the fact that they've been to 3 straight Super Bowls, like it's a slap in the face. But they're still. There's like up until like they played Denver played a really good defensive game. They lost to a good Denver proved against the Eagles and through this whole winning streak that Denver's legitimate. So like they lost to a good Denver team and they lost to in a close game. That game could have gone either way. Just being honest. And I trust Mahomes to figure out how to win. Well, they're 5-5. There's 7 games left. I think he's going to figure out how to win. I think 5 of the 7 at least. The Kansas City typically. I know it's not the same Kansas City team. You can't always just count on that. But typically they're rolling in with 5, 6, 7, 8 straight wins. So like, do I think they'll win out? No, but I think they figure out a way. Mahomes knows exactly what they need to. This team's ahead of us. This team's not, and staying focused. And out of all those other teams I mentioned, I trust them and Patrick Mahomes over even 6-4 Trevor Lawrence and the Jaguars or the Chargers. Like I feel like Kansas City's going to figure out a way to still squeak in the playoffs.
I'm glad that you believe in the Chiefs more than you believe in your Steelers. I mean, that gives me a
better.
little bit of confidence in that. But, that was my big thing going into this last week is that Andy Reid was like 21-2 or something coming off of a bye, and then they don't get it done. So that makes me a little bit nervous. And
21-3.
Yeah. And then now you look at having the Colts who are just sick on offense right now. I mean, they're just putting up numbers.
And you got to be concerned because Sauce Gardner had a bye week to actually get into learning the defensive playbook. And
so that's a little scary. And then the big thing is after that, I mean, we do have to go down to Dallas and play the Cowboys on a short week. So do they drop one of those 2? I definitely feel that they're dropping one of those 2. And then what does that mean? Like you said, you have to win out, but you're going to have to win probably all but 2 of those.
At least.
So
probably, I'd say 10-7 just to be safe.
And you have to beat the Chargers. You have to beat the Chargers if you lose 2 of those in there.
Yeah.
And I can tell you that going to Arrowhead and watching the Chiefs in the Mahomes era, I wasn't even nervous about a lot of the games that we went into when we were down, like down to the Texans or the Titans in that year where we were down by 24 points. I mean, I'm like, okay, I still believe in who we are as a team. But I will tell you this: I'm a little nervous. I think that this could be the year that. I mean, can they not make the playoffs? Is that really what's going to happen?
Do you really think it is?
Yeah,
Really?
I hate to say it, but I mean, I think that I will be able to solidify where I'm at on that in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
After Thanksgiving, for sure.
Yeah. So I'm gonna say yes. I still think that we make the playoffs, but boy, we do need to win these next 2 weeks, and then I feel a whole lot better about how we finish the season because those are the toughest games I think we've got.
Yeah.
Very much so. Yeah, I literally I feel exactly the same way as LSV there. I mean, obviously you believe in Mahomes, you believe in Reed, you believe in like the team that's got it done before with different pieces, but also, I mean, you have a tough stretch going down the road. You have 2 more divisional games, and you still have arguably the hottest team in the league and the hottest offense in the league, I feel like, for sure.
And I hate the fact that we are gonna be depending on somebody else losing some games
you have
to make that.
You have to hope the
picture
Jags
happen.
that are going to drop out.
Yeah,
You
I
got to
can't
hope the
stand that.
Chargers.
Yeah, welcome to being a Steelers fan.
Welcome to being a Steelers fan.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, yes, I hate that.
We got to have the Jaguars beat the.
By 14 points.
Yeah, let's have the Titans that one year. The 4-win Titans beat the Jaguars.
Crazy.
No.
But that takes us into our question of the week. The Twitch and Box question of the week is, who's your favorite player all time and currently? So we're going to do both that never played for your team. So somebody you've always enjoyed watching play that never played for your personal individual team across the board. I think my favorite all time that I've watched that never played for my team would have to be currently that's in the league right now would be Baker Mayfield. I've always enjoyed watching Baker play, and his stories, obviously, if like a feel-good story, you could say, like, gets cut. No, not at all. This Baker, I mean, he gets cut from the
Taylor
Browns.
Swift just dropped something on a notepad. What did she say? I got
Palomalu.
Oh my god.
That's probably her. That's not mine, though. I never watched. I didn't get to watch him play that much. He was towards the end of my. It was early in my football watching career. But I think Baker would be my current guy for sure.
Current, so we're just going current first.
I'll do
Take
current
turns.
first, and then I feel like it's easier because there's.
I'd say there's a couple I could put here. I really like watching. I mean, cliche I said, but like I said, I know it's a down year. I said, but Mahomes, like that's the closest thing to Brady and Michael Jordan in the NFL. Like, so Mahomes, and I always liked watching Kelsey play, and then also like currently, that's tough. Yeah, I
That's
don't.
your current guys.
Those would be my current guys. What's been Sauce Gardner? No. Finn says Sauce Gardner be.
He likes Sauce Gardner. Okay.
Okay.
He likes the sauce.
Yeah. And actually, I will say this though. Like, I don't just say that because my son's next to me. But like, I hate the Bengals, but like, I'm also an LSU fan. I said I like watching Joe Burrow play when he's healthy. Like, he's just. I like watching Burrow, Mahomes, and Allen. So. Anyway.
Greg, who's your
Great.
personal favorite right now that has ever played for your beloved Chiefs?
Right now, yeah, that does not play for the Chiefs.
That's a I don't know who that would be.
Yeah.
Fantasy wise, I mean,
Jonathan
yeah,
Taylor.
Jonathan Taylor is right up there because he put me up 52 points, and I don't know. Current, there's been some guys over the years that I always tune into and watch loving what they do for the game, because that's one of the things that I think makes fantasy football great is that
You get to cheer for other
yeah,
guys.
you get to cheer for other guys. I don't know who that guy would be
Currently,
right now. I don't know who that would be. I guess I should have studied a little bit more on that one. It was in the group chat, so I'm dropping.
I think my all-time favorite, this is way out in left field, but I have a reason for it, is Carson Palmer. Carson Palmer, I started playing Madden 11 on the Wii, and the Broncos didn't have a quarterback at the time. It was Tim Tebow and whoever the other guy was that year. I don't remember who it was. But Carson Palmer was always on the trade block. So I'd trade for Carson Palmer, and I'd just sling the shit out of the rock to my receivers. And then I'd give up 2 first-round picks for Jordy Nelson because he was fast, and I'd win the Super Bowl every year in rookie mode. So I always enjoyed watching Carson Palmer play. I liked him because of the video game to start, but then I watched him play for the Cardinals at the end of the career, and he was down there in Arizona slinging the rock to nobody.
yeah.
And then, he played for the Bengals for a little bit there before Andy Dalton took over.
Yeah.
But I always enjoyed watching Carson Palmer play, even though I caught him at the end of his career. It was still
Yeah.
enjoyable to watch him play. Heisman winner.
Yeah. I can't pick just one. There's too many of them. I said, like, I started off when I first started playing football, played linebacker. I said, but, like, opposite team, even though it's a division rival again, I said I loved watching Ray Lewis in his prime dominate. Another one that people kind of forget about, but, like, for the Panthers and Seahawks, but I was a big Luke Kuechly fan. I loved watching Luke Kuechly have 180 tackles and 15, 20 sacks. Another one, Cam Chancellor, hard hitter from the Seahawks from that Legion of Boom. Everybody remembers Earl Thomas or Richard Sherman, but the kind of the guy that like laid the thunder was Cam Chancellor, like hybrid linebacker / safety.
He would be an outside linebacker in today's NFL.
Peyton Manning is one of them. I loved watching Marshawn Lynch. Plus, we could see him like off
I
the
was gonna
sidelines.
say,
Like
honorable mention Marshawn Lynch.
I
for me
love
for
Marshawn
sure.
Lynch.
Just because the off the field antics on top of.
Well, and then I got to throw this one out there because this might be one of my all time. I mean, it is, but I mean, out of those guys I just listed, Peyton Manning, all those guys. I was a huge Brian Dawkins fan for the Eagles, and then obviously finished his career in Denver. I said, but like, first of all, like, I feel like that's the only thing that was like more intimidating or more badass than Ray Lewis's pregame intro is when Brian Dawkins would come out like crawling, like and like just like running with his knuckles and like get up and like dance and yell like in front of Philly. Like I just don't know, like that fired me up. So like I always like Brian Dawkins. So I like the guys that why you like watching football, laid the hits. John Lynch.
Or
Brett Favre.
the running back that played for the Steelers.
Well, that's not from our team. Though. The bus.
The bus.
I would say my number one is Brett Favre. Just always loved watching Brett Favre come out there and play. He was the guy that, I mean, if there was somebody in the NFC that I was always pulling for, and that made me not necessarily a Packers fan, but that's if there's an NFC team that I'm pulling for because of one particular person, that's him. Here's a crazy one that I hate to say it, but one of my crazy picks is Ed McCaffrey, wide receiver for the Broncos. There was something about the way he was tough and would go up and get balls and just had no caution, just going up there and making plays. I always liked Ed.
You could relate.
So,
That's just a hard
balls.
Jesus. Okay.
Sorry.
Next.
typical
segment.
Chiefs fan.
I'm
Next.
sorry. I'm
segment.
sorry.
But no, I always liked McCaffrey for whatever reason. There's only a handful of people that just stand out like to this day that I enjoyed watching, but I was always a big fan of his. But Brett Favre, the gunslinger, and there was a couple of emotional games in his career that I felt like I could really, I don't know if you say relate to, but I mean I just felt like this was a guy that did a lot of great things for football, and I admired his toughness. I did not admire the Netflix show on the fall of Favre or whatever that was. That was horrible. So just take that down off Netflix now. But I do
Or
like Brad.
the Mississippi welfare
Right.
scandal. We're not going to talk about that or anything.
There's too many to pick here. Because I'd put Tony G was one of my favorites to watch. Tied in with the Chiefs, and then tied in of those Broncos Super Bowl teams. I love Shannon Sharp. For all the people like, I just think he's hilarious. And obviously now knowing what we know and watching him on Sports Talk, like he's very knowledgeable. Like he backs it up. So like I like Shannon Sharp a lot too. So
Very much so.
Yeah, I'll have to ponder. I might wheel back to
This might be an
first
off-season
player.
question. I feel like we could talk for 45 minutes on this one because there's plenty of guys out there you could throw out there.
Jerry Rice.
Yeah, I never. I mean, my perspectives definitely be younger, but
Yeah.
there's definitely guys out there that deserve an honorable mention. You know, Gronk.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't even get into defensive guys. JJ Watt. Yes. But gonna roll into some recaps here. We're gonna start with our game of the week. We're gonna with the Seahawks and the Rams. The Rams get a gritty win, 21-19 against the Seahawks. Start with Sam Darnold, my fantasy quarterback. Put up 4 points this week. Threw 4 interceptions, 279 yards.
He had a Winston game.
Yeah, he had a Jameis Winston game without the touchdowns to back it up. Like I said earlier, you can take the quarterback out of the city, but you can't take the city out of the quarterback. You can never truly get what New York playing quarterback for a New York football team does to you across the board. We'll talk about that a little bit later as well. But Kenneth Walker, 67 yards and a touchdown. Jackson Smith and Jigba still having over 100 yards with 105 yards. But just not a good offensive performance there. But the Rams, on the other hand, Matt Stafford, 130 and 2 touchdowns. Kyron Williams with 91 yards and a tutty. Puka Nacua leading the team in receiving for 75 yards. And then Higbee, tight end, getting 23. Devontae Adams getting held to 1 catch and 1 yard. But that 1 catch being a touchdown. So, I mean, Devontae Adams kind of resurged in his career. This might be the biggest offseason or the most impactful offseason signing so far into the year or this far into the season. I mean, because he stepped up when Puka went down. But the Rams solidify their 8-2 record there with a gritty win. Obviously, they still have to go up to Seattle and play, and then Seattle dropping down to 7-3. We still have both these teams making the playoffs. Didn't watch this game. I went back and watched the highlights of it because I was watching the Broncos-Chiefs game. So, yeah, it was a good win for the Rams. Matt Stafford proves that even if he's not throwing for 400 yards and 4 touchdowns, he can still get it done. He's good. He can play the distributor role if he needs to.
Yeah. I watched I kept flipping back and forth between the Chiefs Broncos game and this game. So the Seahawks I think they were 0-4, 0-5 up until the fourth quarter, going for it on 3rd and 4th down. I said they just I'm sorry. I'm thinking the Detroit game. I'm sorry.
It was just. You have 4 offensive turnovers.
But they turned the ball over twice on the Rams side of the field. Like I said, Darnold throwing the 4 picks, and then still losing. It was 21-19, and the Rams scored a touchdown with about 3 minutes left, and then the Rams got all the way to the Seahawks made a stop and got the ball back, but just didn't have enough time. They went for like a 61-yard field goal, I think it was, and didn't have any timeouts, so like bad management of the timeouts. But Najigba still had his 9 for 105. Yeah, I think both teams are going to be there at the end of the year. I feel like Stafford just made enough plays and didn't make those crucial mistakes. That's what it came down to, obviously. Big win for the Rams. Take sole possession of first place and have that early tiebreaker against the Seahawks. And like I said, another defense just kind of flies under the radar with the Rams.
Yeah.
Another week of holding a good offensive team under 20 points. So I feel like that doesn't get talked about enough. And like I said, and the consistency and not turning the ball over. Like I said, 7 games, 23 touchdowns, no interceptions for Stafford. Quietly playing at he's not going to win it, but at an MVP type level. Has that team playing as good as any team in the NFC. I still feel, like I said, you asked me again in 2 weeks, I said, but like I still feel like the Seahawks find a way to win this division. They're going to be neck and neck. I said, but to me, I said they were moving the ball, especially the second half, but then again the turnovers and getting stopped at midfield. I said that just kind of they just ran out of time. They scored. I said they had the momentum in the fourth quarter, got a touchdown, didn't have enough time to kick the game-winning field goal. But yeah, great game, a good win for the Rams. I said, but like I feel like it was more. And like I said, the Rams' defense is legitimate, but I feel like it was more the Seahawks lost this game than the Rams won.
Yeah, very much so.
By the way, the statistic about this being the first time in Matthew Stafford's professional career where he's actually got a winning record.
Yeah.
For all those years in Detroit.
Yeah.
The first time in his NFL career he's had a winning record. Matthew Stafford.
Blew me away when he put dropped out in the group chat. I said, the Lions sucked really bad for a long time.
Yeah. Most of those years that wasn't because of him. So
yeah, very much so.
Ground to make up.
Rolling into another great game to watch in the noon slate. We have the Buccaneers losing to the Buffalo Bills 44-32. This game was definitely a fun game to watch. It was a back and forth game the whole time. 7-3 at the end of the first. Bucks being down 21-20 at half, and then Buffalo kind of getting that lead at the end of the third at 31-26, and then coming down to the wire basically. Buffalo kind of came back and kind of shut it out at the end, scoring 2 touchdowns in the fourth. But great game to watch. I was excited to watch it. Obviously, we had the Broncos game in the back of my head. But Baker, 173, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. Sean Tucker, third string running back to look at it, second string now. 106 yards and 2 touchdowns. Baker Mayfield getting another touchdown on the ground. Sterling Shepard leading the team in receiving with 54. Ibuka getting held to 40. And then Tucker be getting another touchdown through the air. So 3 touchdown day for the backup running back there for the Bucks. And on the other side, we talked about Josh Allen, obviously, going for 317, 6 total touchdowns, 3 through the air. 2 interceptions. James Cook only having 48 yards. Josh Allen having 40 with another 3 there. And then Tyrell Shavers catching 4 receptions for 90 yards and a touchdown, with James Cook with another 66 through the air and a touchdown. And backup running back Ty Johnson getting 61 through the air and a touchdown. So, running backs getting involved in the pass game there for sure. That was a fun game to watch across the board. We didn't really flip back and forth.
Yeah.
So it was a good back and forth. It showed that the Bucs are still good, but they're obviously missing some offensive pieces. Bucky Irving and Mike Evans is obviously out, but then Godwin will be back eventually. So allegedly.
No, it was a great game. Like I said, 9 lead changes, especially in the second half, going from 26-24 to 31-26. So every time that Tampa Bay looked like they kind of stole the momentum, Buffalo answered. And like I said, to me, that was the bigger story was Josh Allen and, the way they struggled. And again, we talked about it at the beginning of the podcast, but the way that they struggled the week before and still trying to keep pace with the Patriots, like the Chiefs were trying to keep pace with the Broncos and Chargers. The Bills, I feel like, need this game more because, like, their margin for error as far as the division is still in play. Tampa Bay, I said Baker said he answered up until the last interception. I said, but it was played a great game. and Tampa Bay's getting ready to finish the last of their what I consider the three hardest games. They lost a tough game last week, had their chances against New England, and then losing that game against the Bills, and said, and then this next week the Bucks go on the road and play at the Rams this weekend, and before it kind of eases up a little bit. So tough loss, 2 straight losses, and it doesn't get any easier this week for the Bucks. But I felt like they played pretty well. So, the difference in the game to me was Josh Allen, obviously, and willing his team and showing the, like I said, as terrible as they played against Miami the week before, as bad as they played against Atlanta a month ago, when they are at their best, they can compete with anybody. So I felt like Josh Allen was spreading the ball well, and yeah, it was a great game. That's another quality win for the Bills. The Bucks they're both going to be fine, but that was my take on it.
Yeah. Rolling into a game that was way closer than I think either of us expected. The Carolina Panthers getting a win in overtime over the Atlanta Falcons, 30-27. Did not realize Bryce Young had this crazy of a stat line, but Bryce Young throws for 448 and 3 touchdowns.
Yeah.
Rico Dwandle, 45 yards on 19 carries. And then rookie receiver McMillan, 8 receptions, 130 yards, 2 touchdowns, with Xavier Legette, second-year receiver, 83 yards and a touchdown. So
that is pretty crazy.
I had no clue. I didn't even think to check the stat book on that one to see if the Panthers had it. I figured he had a decent game, but holy crap.
Wait, I did watch the end of that game, but I forgot that he threw for that many yards too.
Wild.
Yeah.
Michael Penix Jr. before going down 175 yards, 0-0 on the other 2 stats. Kirko coming in for 48 yards. Bijan Robinson having 140 yards and 2 touchdowns with backup running back Algier getting another touchdown in there. Drake London going over 100 yards again for 119. So, like I said earlier, my honorable mention, the thing that made me twitch was the Falcons, just because you have these offensive weapons. You have these, Bijan over 100 yards, London over 100 yards. You still have Kyle Pitts, who may be a bust at this point. Who knows? But you get in a close game like this, you take the Panthers to overtime, and you figure out a way to lose it. Shout out Bryce Young for getting it done, though, for 448 yards and 3 touchdowns.
Yeah. With
his rookie receiver leading the way in receptions and yards and touchdowns.
Yeah, if you're Atlanta, you're up 21-7 and have all the momentum. I know your quarterback went down, but still had multiple opportunities, multiple third down chances to stop the Panthers, including the last one on the last drive in regulation. Well, not the last drive, because Carolina ended up kneeling on the last drive of the regulation. But the drive where they took the lead 27-24, on the one hand, kudos to the Panthers and Bryce Young there was a play where Donald broke a tackle and then went for a touchdown, and then it got called back because he stepped out of bounds. And so then the Falcons held him to a third down, and Bryce Young was scrambling and found a guy in the back of the end zone. But kudos to the Panthers on that momentum swift of being down the whole game, keep fighting back, even when Atlanta scored a field goal to keep, for them to have their last 2 touchdowns on top of when they finally take the lead. They allowed the Falcons to go 6 plays for 28 yards and set up a long field goal to tie it. So then it goes into overtime, and then still to go in down there and make a stop, make their defense, get pressure on Cousins and stop them first. Atlanta had the ball first, and then Bryce Young making enough plays down the stretch for the final win, for the final field goal. So, Falcons.
Yeah.
The Falcons had every opportunity.
Falcons did a Falcons thing.
Yeah, they had every opportunity. The Panthers, again, after a shocking loss to a bad Saints team last week, and a Panthers team that all year has played above expectations. And like I said, we had them both. We were just talking about a couple weeks ago. Are the Panthers actually a playoff team?
Yeah, they're maybe sneaking in there.
Right. So, but like I said, that was Carolina needed that because of the other teams that we mentioned. That we expect to be at the end of the year, like the Niners and stuff like that. So, they needed those wins against the 3-win Falcons team, and they fought till the end. Like I said, that last drive, Bryce Young scrambled, made first downs, and then they threw a dart in the right side of the end zone to go up 27-4. So,
yeah, it was exciting. Rolling into our last game, we're going to recap here. The 49ers and the Cardinals. 49ers get a decisive win, 41-22, without lack of effort from Jacoby Brissett. Obviously, talked about him earlier, for 47 completions, 452 yards, 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. 36 total rushing yards as the team, though, so that explains the 57 pass attempts. Michael Wilson going 185 yards, no touchdowns. Trey McBride, Michael Wilson had 15 receptions. Trey McBride had 10 receptions for 115 and a touchdown. And then Greg Dorchich for 66 yards and another touchdown in there. So, I mean, Cardinals slinging the rock around. Must have been an interesting game to watch. Just like dropping back 57 times in an NFL game to sling it. It was like you're watching Texas Tech and Baylor back in the day. Or Texas Tech and OU or any kind of Texas spread team you want to talk about. But Brock Purdy coming back off an injury for 200 yards and 3 touchdowns. Christian McCaffrey had himself a day with 81 yards and 2 touchdowns, plus another 40 through the air and a touchdown. George Kittle leading their team in receptions and yards receiving with 67 yards and 2 tutties. And then Juwan Jennings kind of stepping up into that wide receiver 1 role since Ricky Pearsall has kind of been in and out with injury. He played, but he only had 1 reception for 0 yards. But Juwan Jennings getting 54 yards through the air. So, I mean, the 49ers get a good win over a bad Arizona team. Good division win. But we just talked about it earlier, 2 other powerhouses in their division. I don't think they can keep up with the injuries they've had on defense and the lack of non-Christian McCaffrey offense they've had so far. Because Christian McCaffrey's really stepped back up into this role who, I mean, I remember at the beginning of the year, I was like, I don't know if CMC is going to be where he was at before because he missed all last season with, dual Achilles tendonitis or whatever.
Yeah.
So he was out, but Christian McCaffrey stepped up in a big way. Brock Purdy comes back and throws the other 3 touchdowns. So 49ers might get hot here at the end, and I might regret putting the Panthers in my playoff prediction, which I'll gladly say. But I also went back and looked at the predictions earlier this week, and I had them finishing 14-3. So
Yeah.
maybe I have a little bit too much faith in them, but I mean they're 7-4 right now, so it'll be interesting to see what happens down the stretch for these guys.
I had them as my dark horse, like divisional winner at the beginning of the year. I think they're on the outside looking in, but I said it's big. It's between them, even more than the Panthers. To me, it's between the Niners and Chicago, just because I thought they'd kind of drop off, and I haven't trusted that offense all year. They're so streaky. They'll put up a game like that or a game at home where they put up 41 or 34. Yeah. Cardinals obviously aren't a great team, but for Purdy, I mean that was exactly what you wanted. Again, that was a perfect tune-up game. I mean, just 200 yards, 19-26 for 3 touchdowns. I said that's a good way to ease back into it and a good balance. I said that's how you do it. You finally have Kittle, who's been out for 2/3 of the year, on top of McCaffrey, knock on wood, as long as he stays healthy. You know, even against a team like the Cardinals, it still puts up 130-some yards and 3 touchdowns. And so San Francisco is one of those ones I think that I think they'll be there till the end. So because of Shanahan, and I said, and good first start for Purdy. So that's what I was curious about, was like how do they, and eventually they're going to get guys like Ayuk back and stuff like that. So in their wide receiver game, I question their offense, but to put up 41 and still be figuring it out as they get other guys back. Obviously, their 2 biggest players, Bosa and Warner, are gone for the year. But every time I expect San Francisco to just kind of fade away, they have a performance like that. So yeah, and I mean, like we talked about at the beginning of the year, why I even picked them to win the division was because I'm not saying that now, but as far as like even making the playoffs still, it's like other than Philadelphia, who in the last 10 years in the NFC has been who's been the most consistent NFC team? It's been the Niners. Who's been the other ones in the Super Bowls and in the NFC title games? And so like, do I necessarily think they'll get there? No,
not this year.
No, but it's still it'll be interesting to see what they do with like the last half of the year with Shanahan and if Purdy can build off of that, because that was I mean that's exactly what they want as far as like game management, Shanahan's system, and
very much.
I thought Purdy played pretty well.
That's the end of our recaps. There, we're gonna roll into our picks here coming up next.
All right, so let's break down what's going on Week 12 in the NFL. We're going to start off on Thursday Night Football. We got the Bills at the Texans. Let me start off over here with you, Twitch. What's your take?
We got to give us you got to throw in our love for Box and I both going 11-4 on the week last week.
I thought I was going to get him, and then the line screwed me.
Yeah. So,
God damn it, Dan Campbell.
the Texans I've picked from the upset alert, and I hit on both of them twice. And I know, like, so we talked about at the beginning of the show with C.J. Stroud being out this week. I don't think Stroud's a great player, but their quarterbacks played pretty well the last 2 weeks.
Mills has been fine.
But I like Buffalo to, like I said, to really put pressure on New England. I don't think it's going to be like Texans aren't quite as good as New England, and I don't think they're going to have another Miami meltdown. And how well they played and got to humming, they started spreading the ball out better on against the Bucks. And like I said, that Texans defense is legit, and I think it'll be a lot closer than what people think. And plus, it's a Thursday night game, short week, so those games typically aren't high scoring in general. But I just don't feel like that offense in Mills has enough offensive firepower to keep up with Josh Allen, and they make more plays in the end.
Which you guys didn't even highlight up on our stat sheet here about upset alerts. I'm assuming that's going to be the Seahawks-Titans.
No, we will not be taking the Titans to upset anybody for the rest of the year.
Except for their fans.
Except for their fans, for sure. If you want to have a good chuckle every week, I enjoy the Big Cat power rankings. He always drops every week. He's a Barstool employee, but he always does power rankings in the NFL, and he's always got some funny topics on there. And this week's the Titans, where it'd be better if the season was over, the fans hate you, go home. It's basically along those lines. But I have the Bills in this Thursday night game for obvious reasons. I mean, the Bills are hot. Obviously, the Texans could make a late playoff push here, but I think we talked about it going into this last week. If the Bills can right the ship against the Bucs, they'll be a dangerous team down the stretch. And I think they righted the ship. I mean, Josh Allen obviously threw that one really bad interception. Yeah. But besides that, I think they'll be all right. I still give me the Bills getting this game done.
All right, so noon on Sunday, we have the Colts. At least they're playing at GEHA. Yep. They're playing at Arrowhead, so that helps. But this is definitely, for me, the game of the week. So you guys are split on it.
Yeah, we're split on it for sure. I'm taking the Colts in this one, coming off the bye. Obviously, the Chiefs are going to come out hungry. They're going to come out fired up in this one. Obviously losing to the Broncos, and knowing they're so many games back now, and I'm guessing they're all saying, "Oh, hey, we're not listening to the media. We're tuning it all out." But they have to know in the back of their head, "Hey, we're not even in the playoffs if it." Started today, they got to get to going but the Colts coming off a bye, traded for Sauce Gardner at the trade deadline. Daniel Jones obviously kind of having a down game before the bye, but I think the Colts come out and roll in the Arrowhead, and it's going to be a good game for sure. I'm excited to watch it, but I think the Colts get it done just because of the offensive firepower and consistency that they have out all year. And we saw against the Broncos had their RB1 and backup running backs, and we still had a decent rushing game. So I can only imagine what Jonathan Taylor is going to look like going against this Chiefs rush defense.
Yeah, I can see this game go either way, especially coming off a bye. And like I said, I do believe that Indy, so they came off the bye, they played kind of sloppy overseas right before that, and then they played the real stinker against us. But I do think Indy's legit, and I said I like their offense. I'm coming to the fact that Kansas City's in must-win mode, and I trust 15, and I think that Kansas City's going to have to figure it out how, since they've both been back, when Worthy came back and they realized it's like he's kind of our number one, but kind of getting guys like Brown and Smith-Schuster involved. And then when Rice came back, they really leaned heavily on Rice. And then used other guys. Same thing, Brown, those other secondary players. Yeah. I want to see them use both Rice and Worthy and then the secondary guys. And I feel like Kansas City, by committee, starts to figure that out a little bit more on offense. Their defense has still played pretty well, even last week against Denver. Their defense has been what's kept them in most every game. I mean, that and Mahomes, but I'm just saying, they've kept most opponents within around the 20 range. And I just, like I said, I feel like part of it is, I think Indy's legit, but part of it is their schedule. And the fact that it's in KC against real competitors, even though they're on the outside looking in, I still can consider Kansas City an outside shot, dark horse, true contender because of 15. And I feel like this game could go either way. I said, but with Kansas City dropping one to Buffalo and dropping one to Denver, I just think that's another big game. This will be more like hopefully the sense of urgency that they played with when they played against the Lions and the Ravens.
Definitely a get right game.
Yeah. I feel like Kansas City will figure it out.
Man, I sure hope so. So got the Steelers going to Chicago. You guys both got the Steelers, right?
Oh, Twitch, what do you have here?
Well, I will say, like I said, I'm 5-5 picking within the 6-4 Steelers. I'm 5-5 on picking Steelers games. I said, but honestly, we were talking about earlier at the beginning of the podcast. I said, and I'm not thrilled that I want to watch a whole season. They're not contenders. In my opinion, they're not real contenders anyway. But they give you a better shot with Rodgers and Rudolph. That being said, for being a Rudolph hater, I don't even say hater. The last time he was in Pittsburgh, when Kenny Pickett got hurt, they had to win 5 out of 6 or whatever at the end of 2023, and Rudolph won 5 out of those 6 to get him there and played really well down the stretch and solidified. And watching, obviously it's my team, so watching that game last week, Rudolph played really solid, and so I think it's not as much of a drop off as what people may think. But I don't know who their number 2 receiver is. Instead, in Chicago, for whatever reason, even in years where the Bears would go 4-12, 5-11, for whatever, Chicago is one of those few teams that has kind of owned the series. I don't know if I'd have to look at it. Off the top of my head, I think they've won 4 out of the last 5. And granted, again, it's a week-to-week, season league. But I feel like in Chicago, we're not a daunting opponent. I said I think we're a decent opponent. And I feel like that's where Chicago is too. But since it's in Chicago, and I just feel like the sense of urgency and the way they've been figuring out how to win games, I think it's going to be really close. But I actually think Chicago finds a way to sneak it out.
Yeah, I also think the Bears win this one. I don't, if Mason Rudolph has the mustache, they're for sure going to lose. If Mason Rudolph shaves the mustache, they might have a chance. But it's
That's a
I think it's the other way around.
I
He
don't
keeps
know.
the porn stats.
very interesting. But I like the Bears in this one. The Bears have been hot. Bears are division leaders right now. So obviously, Ben Johnson definitely has them feeling that sense of urgency to say, hey, we're in our own destiny's driver's seat here. If we can win out or win 6 of these last 7 games or 5 of these last 7 games, we'll be all right down the stretch. And I like the Bears to get it done here. It's at home. Obviously, the Steelers are going to be – the defense is probably going to feel a little bit more pressure to say, oh, hey, we don't have 8 back there anymore. We need to step up and contend Caleb Williams. But I think that offense has just been clicking too much for the Bears to – I think they'll sneak it out, maybe another last-second field goal to win it.
Yeah.
Them and the Broncos, I think, are the 2 fourth quarter teams in this season. So
We kind of held Flacco in check this time and said we beat Dylan Gabriel and Daniel Jones played his worst game against us. But other than that, most quarterbacks have pretty much had some of their best games of the year so far, averaging 300 yards and a couple touchdowns. So I said I feel like Swift and Odunze and some of those guys will have their numbers against us, and so it is I think going to be one of the better games, top 4 or 5 games of the week though, is Chicago-Pittsburgh.
Yeah. Well, Finn's following your footsteps because as I look at the next game, the Patriots versus the Bengals, even Finn has the Patriots. So, look at that sad look. Yeah. So, Pats across the board. Anything crazy going to happen there?
no. Pats have been hot. Pats have been rolling.
8 straight wins.
Yeah, I mean, as hot as you can get. Obviously, get a gritty win against the Jets last week. It's a division game, so it's going to be a little bit of a rougher game. But
they still put up 27 points. It wasn't like one of those sloppy ones.
Yeah, it wasn't a slop. It wasn't a nasty 10-7 Raiders-Broncos game.
Yeah.
But just I don't know. The Patriots and the Bengals defense has been what we've talked about. Could be really good no matter what Joe was playing quarterback. They would be a lead offense, but their defense is so bad I don't think it would matter.
Any sign when Burrow comes back? What were you thinking?
Burrow, so he started practicing again last week. They projected him to play that first week of December game, but I'm thinking their last 3 games are the Dolphins, the Browns, and the Cardinals in that last 3-game stretch. So
yeah, what's the point?
yeah, exactly. If they lose this one and they lose a couple more, I don't think Joe Burrow comes back unless he absolutely demands to, or if he absolutely wants to. Because the Dolphins obviously not very good, the Cardinals not very good, and the Browns probably don't want to play against the Browns because Myles Garrett's going to be out there hunting for his sack record. So, but
good point.
I think Burrow's done, probably officially done for the year.
Yeah.
And the Patriots roll into this one and take care of
The
business.
Patriots that's why they've won 8 straight. They don't beat themselves.
Yeah.
It's exactly like we talked about this already, and I hate to beat a dead horse or repeat the same idea from week to week, but it's just Mike Vrabel was part of that 3 out of 4 dynasty, the first 3 out of 4, and from 2001 to 2004 with the Patriots, a key role player. And I said I feel like he's obviously been the perfect fit. Now that this Patriots team's kind of out of the shadow of that dynasty and having their own team, so he's kind of brought that culture back to where I hate the Patriots now because of Tom Brady and the cheating and the 6 Super Bowls. I said,
They weren't cheating.
yeah. But people forget that, how they got there. Tom Brady obviously made those plays in those Super Bowls, I said, but really it was their defense and the way they're kind of constructed now, which is, other than Drake May and Stephon Diggs is a nice piece. They have a couple good defensive, really good players, but none of them are going to be up for Pro Bowl or All Pro. But just a bunch of solid. I shouldn't say that. They've got a couple of good secondary players, safety and cornerbacks.
Yeah, Gonzalez or how they be.
Yeah, but just a very simple, do your job, nothing fancy. They don't beat themselves by mistakes. Like I said, it's just they're well coached. I said they don't have a bunch of superstar players. I said just like that 01 Patriots team, but they get contributions, whether it's by special teams each week or by the defense, and then the next week Drake May's making good plays. He's making good decisions. I just don't think there's any way. I think they're too solid of a team.
Yeah, especially.
All right, so how bad did the Jets lose to the Ravens?
I don't know. We thought this last week, and then obviously they had Myles Garrett, and the Jets do not have Myles Garrett, but the Browns made the Ravens work for that win last week. So I'm interested to see how this goes. Obviously, I think the Ravens win, but the Jets, they put up a fight against the Patriots for a little bit. They made it interesting after trading away Sauce and Quinnen Williams there in the middle. So I don't know. Ravens win. I don't really got too much to say about this one. It's just
Ravens winners of 4 straight, about to be 5 straight. It's in Baltimore.
Yeah.
Offense kind of saw
Somebody's twitching over there already because he's just seeing those playoff picture going out the window.
well, it's at least the divisional picture. So that's why I'm just not shocked. So they played the Browns last week, play the Jets, they play the Bengals next week, and then so I just and then we
laughed early on, but now it's
here.
Kids coming to fruition. That everything you said is coming.
Baltimore's going to be in first place before it's even the turn of the calendar. Until we're in December, but by the end of the month they'll be in first place. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
But their offense kind of obviously the Browns when they showed up and played and got anything on offense, where their defense isn't gassed. They played everybody close. I said, but Baltimore the week before. It looked like they kind of started figuring out some things the second half against Minnesota and kind of pulled away. And it's just they're just one of those teams where I still feel like people are sleeping on them. And at their best, I know they're 5-5. I said, but at their best, they're still as hard as anybody to game plan for.
Yeah.
And I know the Jets have played some teams. They played the Bills close. They played the Patriots close. Played us close. They played they played the Bucks close. So kudos to them for that. But I said, I don't feel like. Baltimore's rolling. It's at home. And after this game, I said I'd watch. Then Baltimore now from that start was going to be 1-5. Now after this game they'll be 6-5, and I think we'll lose to the Bears. And guess we will also be 6-5. So.
And guess what other away team's going to get the dub? The Seahawks are going to Nashville and playing the Titans. So look at that.
Yeah.
Bet on some away teams.
Seahawks. Hopefully Sam Darnold, doesn't throw 4 picks against these guys. Hopefully it's a good tune-up game for him. Yeah. Hopefully he throws 5 touchdowns at Jack Smith and Jigba for my fantasy team. But I don't know if the Titans score. How good that Seahawks defense has been good, and they're keeping guys out of field goal range. They're getting stops. They're caught they're a very disciplined team. Not very many penalties across the board. So
yeah, they played the Patriots close. The Titans did a couple of weeks ago. Played a good first half last week, but still ended up losing. But yeah, they give me the Seahawks. I said over the last month up until last week, they've been the most balanced football team: offense, defense, pass rush, getting turnovers, running the football. Kenneth Walker, they've got studs all over the place. The only thing I feel like, knock on wood, that would give Tennessee a chance was bearing a couple injuries of Seattle.
Yeah.
Or just like I said last week, I made a big deal about it. I make a big deal about it about every other week. But I said that Chargers-Jags game, the only other thing is I don't know how much stock to put into it, but when you have a West Coast team going to a full East Coast
Yeah.
for a noon kickoff for or 1 o'clock game. So maybe that's something with Seattle playing.
Maybe.
Mountain
into
time,
it.
10 a.m. their time against the Titans, so they don't wake up and they're hungover. I don't know.
Yeah.
Partying in Broadway Street in Tennessee, but
Yeah. I mean, I think even if Sam Darnold does get hurt, Jalen Milrow's the backup.
Yeah.
And I mean, they have packages for him when he gets in and rushes sometimes or runs that RPO game. So, yeah, Seahawks.
And the Seahawks defense in general is just going to feel like, I think you're ready to shut them down.
Well, at least we've got a division game coming up. Vikings in Green Bay, Lambeau for the Packers. I'll probably switch back and forth if I can get that game. I'll be tuning into that one just for personal reasons.
Yeah, very much so. Very,
And Julie.
very,
No, I mean like.
Whoa.
Because
Okay.
very
she's a
interested.
Packers and she's a Vikings and Packers fan after the Chiefs.
I'm very
Yeah.
interested about this
Okay,
one.
thanks for cleaning that up.
J.J. McCarthy has looked great at times, and he has looked like not an NFL quarterback at times for sure. I like the Packers in this one. I think the best, worst team in the league gets it done. I think.
That's been your thing for the Pack all
Yeah.
The
year.
last 2 months, yeah.
I mean, yeah, you have a winning record, but like you barely squeak one out against the Cardinals, who have 3 wins. You tie with the Cowboys. Like
You beat us.
beat the Steelers. Woo!
So the Bengals.
Yeah, the Bengals also did beat the Steelers.
Catching strays now. I got the Packers.
I didn't even talk about the Steelers.
Right. I have the Packers. I said I expected the Vikings to come out and play a little bit better last week, and that didn't really happen. And like I said, the Packers still even that loss 2 weeks ago against the Eagles. Like I said, their defense is still playing pretty well, and like the Minnesota offense has just been too sporadic. And it's at Lambeau. Green Bay up until last week was leading the division, so I feel like a divisional opponent. It's going to be close, but they know Minnesota pretty well, and I feel like. I'm hoping that Green Bay, because they've had those streaks obviously against us and against even Dallas and stuff, where they have really good halves, and so it kind of looked like at the end of the game last week, their offense kind of figured it out. Like they looked pretty terrible the first half, but the second half they came out to play. So I feel like Jordan Love and that offense scores enough points at Lambeau and beats Minnesota.
The thing that you do definitely need to keep an eye on for this one, though, is Jordan Love is likely to be out with his concussion still, and then Josh Jacobs with his knee is questionable. So I mean, you're missing your
Top running
QB1.
back. So who's their backup now? Is it
Malik Willis still?
And he looked okay last week.
I think Malik Willis will be fine, and then Josh Jacobs backup. He's had 40 rushing yards on 8 carries and a touchdown last week when Jacobs went out. So I mean, they have some suitable backups, but it'll be interesting to see. I mean, look, this is obviously last year, and last year's team is different. But when Malik Willis came in and played for the Packers, they looked good because LaFleur was able to change the offense around to fit more of Malik Willis' skill types than because obviously he's a different style quarterback than Jordan Love. So I think it'll make a little bit of a difference, and it might be on the lookouts for it being a way closer game than you might expect. But I still think the Packers sneak around.
Interestingly enough, didn't he play that game against the Titans?
Yeah.
Yeah. So his former team.
Yeah, he played against his former team and had a crazy stat line.
That just
I think you'll see some
fun stats.
I think you'll see some offensive struggles by the Packers, but we've seen that all year anyway.
Yeah, that's why they're the best, worst team in the league.
But I feel like he makes enough plays to beat the Vikings.
Yeah.
Last noon game, Giants, Motor City Kitties. That's what
Kitties.
Simon said. Giants versus the Lions.
Lions, for sure. Lions in this one. Cam Scavadu, he's catching a lot of heat right now. He's not playing, obviously. He's out for the season. But he's catching a lot of heat for being a Monday Night Raw. He got in a fight with a wrestler.
Yeah.
Him and Abdul Carter did. So everybody was giving him, he's like, why aren't you rehabbing? Well, I can't really rehab my leg. It's broken and it has to sit in this cast. There's not really much rehab I can do. That he didn't say it that cleanly, obviously, because it's Cam Scavadu. And if you ever want to have a good time, go look at his Twitch stream and just look up highlights. And I mean, he talks about getting dominated by a taco, and there's all kinds of crazy stuff on there.
Yeah, I was
you
following
turn your head to the
Yes, I was following his TikTok. Yeah, that if you turn your head to eat your taco, that
you get dominated by the taco. I was like, I never thought of it like that, but I would never eat a taco the same.
I'll never eat a taco the same.
Yeah.
But give me the Lions in this one. Obviously, they lose not a very good Sunday Night Football game to the Eagles, which seems like the way the Eagles want to play you is downright dirty. We're not going to blow you out. We're going to make you
Grind it out.
Yeah, we're going to make you grind it out to the end. Like the last quote blowout win they had was against the Chiefs. So I mean, it feels like every other game they've really like grind your gears and make you fight till the very end.
Yeah.
So I think the Lions get this one done. I think the Lions could be a bounce back game for them. Obviously, that defense is still good. I mean, Abdul Carter, Thoroughdoaks, and then Sexy Dexy in the middle. So I still like the Lions though.
Lions at home. Still, like I said, I know they struggled last week, but I feel like that's a testament to the Eagles' defense.
The Motor City
Giants.
Kings.
The Giants have had one of the worst defenses all year. They've got some guys banged up. They showed some life last week. Some fun clips, some fun highlights of Jameis Winston. Like I said,
Yeah, for sure.
dancing pregame, dancing in the end zone. But I said I do feel like Detroit. So they've lost some close games to Kansas City, to Philadelphia. They've lost some against some quality opponents, and they just haven't been consistent. They've had opportunities in every one of their games, and now I think at home against a bad, struggling Giants team, I feel like the Lions get right, and then also I think their biggest game of the year is coming up next Thursday. Mm-hmm. So they know that's on the slate right after that against the Packers, round 2 and early divisional, implications there. So I feel like they use this game to get ready for the Packers game and take advantage of the next 2 games being at home and beat a bad Giants team. And there's too much offense. Like the Giants have been giving up too many points all year, and Detroit's not the team to do that against. So
our upset alert game of the week, moving into the 3:05 time slot, is the Jacksonville Jaguars against the Cards. I know you hated to take this, so I mean,
Yeah.
you have to get an upset alert game in here every week.
Yeah,
That's
very
our
much
big
so.
thing is like it can't be a primetime game. What are you doing? I'm just gonna go sit in the hot tub with a bourbon. I'll be honest with you. I don't care about this game.
Yeah, for sure, definitely. This is definitely not the 3:00 game I will be watching, but I think the Cardinals can definitely get this done. The Jags' offenses look very lackluster recently. Obviously, I mean they lay it down against the Chargers, but if you go look at the stats. I mean, obviously the biggest stat, the most important stat's the score, and they obviously blew out the Chargers 35-7. But their offensive performance was not the best in the world. And granted, the Cardinals' defense isn't the best, but their offense and Jacoby Brissett will keep them in that game. Obviously, I mean, they get blown out by the Niners, but it's a division rival. They play them twice a year, every year, so they have the book on them. You could say they know what you're looking at trying to run. But I think the Jags can roll into this one and maybe trying to look ahead, trying to see where their playoff picture's at and see who they need to beat down the stretch. And I feel like this could slip away from them, and I think the Cardinals could sneak a win out here against the Jacksonville Jaguars. I mean, they're going to the desert. Excuse me. Jeez. The pizza's coming back. But
Shout out to Hayden and Papa Murphy's on North Topeka Boulevard for our food of the week there.
food of the week. Some great stuffed crust pizza and breadsticks for sure. Appreciate you, Hayden, for coming out and
There you go.
supporting. But
Ding.
yeah, there he was. But yeah, give me the Cardinals in this one for my upset alert of the week. The upset alert is now 4-2. The Vikings did not win last week, so upset
had their
alert.
chances.
They
Came
had
back
their-
late.
They definitely tried to, but J.J. McCarthy sold. So upset alert is now at 4-2.
Yeah. I'm going to keep it simple. I got the Jags. I know they've been kind of inconsistent, but they've had some big road games this year. Beating San Francisco early before everybody was hurt there, and getting a good win last week against the Chargers. So for a team that's been up and down, at their best, they've been on that cusp. They're going to be fighting for a playoff spot. And like you said, it could be a lot closer than people think, just because the Cards have got blown out the last 2 weeks. But not because of Jacoby Brissett.
Yeah.
Jacoby Brissett's putting up crazy numbers. The fact that they're asking him to throw 60 times is crazy. Maybe that's where you start. But I guess when you're down 35-0 halfway through the second quarter, you don't really have much choice. But yeah, that's why give me the Jags.
So, all right. Well, Browns versus the Raiders.
Toilet bowl.
Again, couldn't care less. But
Yeah, really could not care less. Give me the Browns in this one because of their defense, though. Myles Garrett gets another however many sacks he wants to. Another 4, another 5. Just because that offensive line is not good for the Raiders. We saw that.
Last night.
We saw that last night against the Cowboys defense, who is
Now,
not a good defense.
now this does take us to a break or a segment in the conversation because Twitch has got the Browns too, and I noticed as I look down on the script here, on the scorecard, Finn does have the Raiders. So we do have to have a conversation here at some point by the end of the night about paying off some of these little side bets. So we'll come back to that, but be thinking about what that bet is here because that's one of those games that you split with your dad. Obviously, Twitch is taking the Browns too. So
I'm not a Shadur believer at all, but I think Shadur's better than.
I'm not either. I picked the Browns because of the defense and just how bad the Raiders have been. But we saw some signs of life out of the Raiders, and it's in Vegas. So I was going to take the Raiders just because of the fact of I don't believe in Shadur.
Yeah.
But I don't believe in that Raiders offense even more. And I just feel like, like you said, that's a toilet bowl. That game could go either way, and I could care less.
Just feed.
Let's just be honest.
Let's just feed Genty the rock.
They're
boys.
still all NFL players and NFL teams. So like the worst player is still a stud. That being said, what a shitty 3 o'clock time spot game.
yeah, those are
We've got
horrible.
Jags,
I'm
Cards, Browns,
I'm
Raiders,
not in the hot tub for 3
Falcons
hours.
and Saints, and Eagles, Cowboys is the barn burner. of that
Yeah, I
group.
mean, at least that'll be an offensive shootout, maybe.
Right.
Yeah.
But I'm going to go with the Browns, figuring out a way because I said their defense has shown up to play. They had their chances down at the end against the Ravens and have been in most of the games, and so I feel like the Browns figure out a way to win.
Like I said, next one, 325. Atlanta Falcons rolling out to New Orleans and playing the Saints.
Yeah, another game. Could care less what happens in this one.
I'm probably going to mow the yard.
Yeah, like
Sunday
hey, if you have
afternoon,
any
I'll
if
be
you have
honest
any
with
chores to do during the 3 o'clock slate, go knock them out so you can watch the Sunday night football game. It should be a good one. But give me the Falcons. I think I don't know. The Saints suck.
Yeah, I have. For as much as I hate picking with the Falcons because they've just been
Yeah,
one
who
of the
knows what
most
they're gonna come out and play with.
Are they they lose to the 30-0 Panthers, or are they going to beat the Bills? So
Yeah, are they going to take the Panthers to overtime
Right.
in a game that let the Panthers come back?
I trust their offense more than the Saints,
Mm-hmm.
and so I think the Falcons very easily could be 6-5, or they could be 2-9. So, but I feel like the Falcons figure out a way to get it done. Lost a heartbreaker last week, and I also feel like kind of under the radar because I know they're trying to give Michael Penix the
Kirk O'Chains is playing this week, baby.
Kirk
Let's go.
Cousins, a seasoned vet, so I think he makes enough plays against a not a very good Saints team. So the Falcons might be better off with Cousins. I think they were just trying to see what they had in Penix.
2 touchdowns, 4 interceptions. Kirk Cousins game loading.
So it's not exactly fair, because we do have the Eagles playing in Dallas against the
Yeah.
Cowboys.
That's
So
the only decent
that's
one.
to be the only one that anybody's watching Sunday afternoon. And I don't know. I'm more interested in seeing how Dallas shows up for that game because of, Chiefs have to go down there and play on Thanksgiving. That's why. The only reason I'm tuning into that game right now.
I'm interested in this one. It's going to be a good one for sure, that aspect of it. But also the Eagles rolling into this game. This is going to be a true test for their defense because their defense has been holding teams, some average offenses to say the least, holding them out to get the win. But the Cowboys' offense has been electric. I mean, Javonte Williams almost 100 yards last night. George Pickens and CD having an outrageous stat line again. Dak Prescott making good decisions with the ball. And we're not even talking about Jake Ferguson.
Like I said, Offensive Player of the Week. Yeah, so.
We're not talking about Jake Ferguson getting involved there. And so,
But we all hate the Cowboys, so.
yeah,
that's
very
the
much
problem.
so. I'm taking the Eagles in this one. I think the Eagles are the better team overall. They're deep. They have a defense that actually goes out and plays NFL football. It's kind of a shot at the Cowboys, but we don't like the Cowboys.
I think divisional game, and like I said, we saw the exciting Giants team with Scatterboo and that momentum with Jackson Dorsett. We've seen, a good offense put up points. The Rams put up points on the Eagles. The Broncos put up points in the second half against the Eagles. But I feel like over the last month, the Eagles have one of the better defenses over the last month, especially the last 2-3 weeks. Philadelphia's really clicking on defense. I do think Dallas is that offense when they're clicking with Pickens and Lamb and then Ferguson, who now lead I think he's tied or took the lead for tight ends and touchdowns this year. So Dallas will move the ball, and I think it'll be entertaining. But I feel like Philly makes enough stops, and with the world watching, their 2 losses, the Eagles, definitely had their chances. But it was a fluke loss to the Giants, and then which they got revenge for. Then the Broncos coming back on them. But for the most part, the last 2 years, they've dominated the NFC divisional opponent. They said it might be closer than what people think, but I feel like the Eagles I have the Eagles as still finishing as the 1 seed, and I feel like the Eagles are the better team, and they get it done.
Actually, I've rethought that. I might take a nap during that afternoon game because I do want to come back and watch the Sunday night football game. We have Tampa playing the Rams, and I'm going to want to watch that game. And then after that, I'm probably going to watch season 2 of Landman. So it's going to be a long night, and then I got stuff to do on Monday too.
Stranger Things comes out next week, doesn't it?
I'm not
Anyway.
Stranger Things guy.
Stranger Things. How old are you?
Whatever. You watch
Are they
That's
still
on you.
making Stranger Things?
It's the last
Yeah,
season.
it's the last season, man.
Okay, didn't expect that to
Yeah.
come up on the podcast.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm watching Landman, and you'll
Yeah.
be watching Stranger
I
Things.
will also
It's
be
a
watching
fucking great
Landman.
series.
But and this back to Sunday Night Football.
Yeah,
I have every aspect of my emotional football knowledge here when we take the Bucks. 'Cause I'm a Baker guy, and I think obviously they lose a tough game to the Bills last week.
Got the Bucks.
Box.
But
Box taking the
I'm
Rams.
taking the Rams in this one. The Rams have been the hot team. They're coming off a good division win.
Okay, I'm surprised by that.
I think it's out there in LA, so the Bucks have to travel. I think Baker makes it close. Baker makes it interesting for sure. But I think the Rams get the win because they've just been a solid team. That defense has been solid. And bless you. But
Everybody's thrown off here.
that's just give me the Rams going with Matthew Stafford when his last season, just slinging the rock against that Bucks.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see whether Irving plays or not, but whether he does or not. Like, I feel like the Bucks, again, will win the division. They'll be in the playoffs, I said, but I think the Rams are just on a different level than what the Bucks are playing at. So that simply put, the Rams are a top 2 or 3 team in the NFC, if not the NFL. The way that they've been playing, as I know, Indy's started the way they have, and Denver's got with the way they've played, and the Patriots win 8 straight. I said, but like the 8-2 Rams are just kind of flying under the radar, and I said the balance that they have on both sides of the ball, and I feel like they're just a step above. I said I agree that Tampa will keep it close, and Baker will make it some big plays and keep it close, but that offense, I just feel like the Rams will slow them down enough, and Stafford will make enough big throws on Sunday Night Football, and Rams are legit, and so I feel like the Rams hold serve, and especially because I think like the Seahawks win, I feel like that keeps the pressure on the Rams, and the Rams keep pace. So then, that'll move them to 9-2. The Rams.
That pick definitely hurt my soul. So if the Bucks end up pulling this one out, I'm gonna be kicking myself for a long time over it.
Yeah.
So we got our last game of the week. Monday Night Football, we have the Panthers in San Francisco playing the 49ers. And I just got to throw a shout out to watching ESPN 2, watching the Manning brothers do their cast on there. Bugby was out here last night when we were watching, and they had Guy Fieri as a special guest on there. They had George W. Bush on there. And it was like, man, why are we not doing this more often? So that was the only way to keep Monday Night Football just interesting. So that's probably what I'll be doing on Monday night.
Yeah, for sure. I always turn on the Manny cast when it's available. It's always a good watch.
It's hilarious. Did you see the picture that Eli drew, or that he painted of them?
Yeah.
And the big old
forehead. Or like Eli, Peyton said like the guys he wanted on the pod or wanted on the show, and it was like all these serious names, and then Eli's list of who he wanted on the show was the 22 guys that picked off Peyton Manning in his rookie year. And I was like, okay, that's a good brother. That's a good brother back and forth there.
There we go.
But also, fun little fact about the Panthers that I saw today is every time the Panthers have won the coin toss, they've won the game. Every time they've lost the coin toss, 5 times. They've lost the game. That's why they're 6-5. Fun little stat.
I don't think like that's the reason. But.
Yeah, it is. It's definitely they definitely feel the momentum of getting to win early in the game gets them the rest of the game set up. But
fair enough.
That's why I'm taking the Panthers in this one. I think the Panthers are on the road out there, so they get to call the coin toss, and they're going to call heads, and it's going to land on heads, and the Panthers are going to win.
Tail never fails. That's where I made a mistake.
But yeah, I like the Panthers in this one. Panthers have been high. Obviously, Bryce Young has a crazy week last week against the Falcons, leading that comeback. And the 49ers obviously beat the Cardinals, the division rival. but I like the Panthers to get it done out there in Santa Clara. It's a late game, so you don't have to worry about the east to west time zone change or any of that stuff. It's a primetime game, and obviously the 49ers defense is missing some guys, and I feel like the Panthers offense is starting to click. And I trust that the Panthers offense seems – it's crazy I'm going to say this out loud, but the Panthers offense has been more explosive than the 49ers seem to be this year, which usually the 49ers isn't built off of big plays. It's built off of play-action passes and, 20-yard dunks and screen passes and all that stuff. While the Panthers have been pushing the ball down the field. So I think the Panthers can get a gritty win out there in Santa Clara and put themselves in that 7 seed and make the 49ers have to claw back into it with the head-to-head win.
No. Carolina's been competitive all year. It's, again, one of the feel-good stories in the NFL. But I'm going to go with the Niners. Niners is, Santa Clara and the Niners typically, especially on prime time, is one of the tougher places to play. People don't really think about it. But, San Francisco's record at home, especially, in the month of November, December, or primetime games, is just crazy. And, like I said, I feel like Brock Purdy, it may not be gaudy stats, but no, I feel like I trust Shanahan and Purdy. I had a good performance last week. His numbers aren't really gaudy, but really did a good job distributing the ball, and I feel like I expect him to build off of that. And, yeah, I trust Shanahan and those guys to be able to shut down Carolina. Carolina kind of came on late with the last 2 drives and overtime scoring, so they put up whatever it was, 18 points. They got a touchdown and 2-point conversion. But they scored 18 points. But up until that point, not a whole lot for the first 3 quarters. And I just feel like San Francisco, every time I want to write them off, when they put up 40-some points. I don't think they'll put up 40 to the Panthers. But, again, I think it's kind of a sneaky hard place to play. And San Francisco's got a pretty good balancing. They just don't have the superstars. They've had a lot of injuries, obviously. But I trust Shanahan and Purdy and McCaffrey and Kittle being healthy and those guys to make enough plays to be what I still consider a competitive but mediocre or above average Panthers team. I feel like the Niners are, if they were playing a Seahawks or Rams or something, I'd probably go with the other team. But the Niners are above average too, and I like them to get it done. They're fighting for a playoff spot.
So that wraps up Week 12. Bye weeks this week: Broncos, Chargers, Dolphins, Commies, and like every other week, the Bengals.
No longer the Titans. Yeah, so we're gonna roll into gonna talk about some debts that need to be paid up here across the board. So we obviously have the Twitch and Finn Bengals Steelers from the first game where the Bengals upset the Steelers. So Twitch is gonna run naked through his apartment complex.
Underwear.
With underwear, not naked. But we're gonna have that coming to you guys soon. And then we have the Booger Eater Bowl from this last Sunday. So Finn gets to eat one of his dad's boogers. It'll be a very interesting. Don't hate us for that one.
So I think it'd be great just to run around the complex and right as I'm fishing.
Yeah, just
right
zooms in on Finn.
And
he's eating the booger. But then the one that LSV over here I know is most excited about for sure. We finally decided that for the Broncos-Chiefs game, the loser had to stand outside Tent City, which is where we'll be tailgating at, in their boxers at the Arrowhead game. And you have to hold a sign of and the other guy gets to choose what it says. So, obviously, the Broncos won. So, LSV will be standing outside for 15 minutes in that nice, cold December Christmas Day game cold.
I'd rather be holding a snake.
I don't know about that one. But definitely come up with some good signs. Drop some stuff down below. Doesn't have to necessarily be football related. I'd appreciate it if it was. I've already got some good ones cooked up.
Yeah, Bo Nix is my daddy. I'm not wearing that sign. Like a homeless person standing there with a barrel.
Bo Nix, got some couple good ones.
No, man.
I lost my virginity to Bo Nix.
I know it's your guys' rivalry and you want to enjoy the win, and you want to make him say something Bills, but I just think. Thinking outside of football, there's so many possibilities.
There's so many possibilities.
If you see Uncle Greg out there with a hail Patrick with a swastika or something.
Yeah, hail the Chiefs. And,
yeah,
there could be some crazy options out there. But down below in the comments, we'd really appreciate.
That's going to be my Christmas present to
Dress up like Taylor Swift.
Oh God, no!
So there's so many
And it's on
options.
Christmas. You can put some really offensive stuff.
Yeah,
on
you can put some crazy stuff if people are trying to have a family day in your house.
I spent a lot of money on this ticket, and by God, I hope the Chiefs are relevant at that point in the season because that's what's going to take us into the state of the Broncos, the Steelers, and the Chiefs next. And so, I mean, yeah. Well,
We got some
I'll pay my
bets.
debt. I'll pay my debt, but I want to see Finney eat a booger, and I want to see Chris not streak, but run through the apartment
Yeah.
complex in a non-pedophilia way.
Very much so. But that's gonna we got
38.
we got Finn with some picks here. Finn's got a couple games he'd like to weigh in on here.
Colts and Chiefs. I'm going Colts because
Oh my God,
My
man,
God.
you're killing me. Why?
Chiefs suck and
It's a good job.
Say that. You gotta give us an
He
extra reason.
can. He's 9. He can say whatever he wants.
Sauce Gardner. He's coming off of like getting practice with the Colts, getting good offense with decent defense now that Sauce Gardner.
Well, Jonathan Taylor did put up 52
And-
points the last time he
Yeah, they
came
played,
out there.
so-
Yeah, so there's reason to believe that the Chiefs might be in trouble. 52 fantasy points out of your running back.
Overseas.
There's Jonathan Taylor. If he can get through the line, he's running it back for
Yeah,
a
for
touchdown.
Boo. All right.
What's another game?
Next game you got.
Jets, Ravens. It's obvious Ravens
Yeah.
because they're just
This is the Jets.
That would be an appropriate response for this
That's
one.
okay with that one.
the Ravens. They've got a decent offense with Lamar Jackson and
Is Derrick Henry going to run the ball? How many yards he's getting? Because he's on my fantasy team too. So you're just going to light me up on how bad my week's going to suck. By all my players are going to go off.
I'd say like 50 yards.
Oh,
About
man.
100
not
yards.
using
You should
it.
have a 100 yard
152
game.
TDs. Against the Jets defense?
Okay, that's true.
That's true.
Well, anyway, so you got the Ravens.
Okay. Colts, Ravens. What else?
Giants, Lions. I'm going Lions. Lions are coming off that losing, and they're. I'm gonna bet they go on a streak, and win a couple games, and hopefully make the playoffs. The Giants 2-8 now.
Yeah, I think so.
Something like that.
Or yeah, maybe 3 wins.
Yeah.
I don't know their schedule. They're not fun to watch anymore.
And Giants, they're not that good anymore. And
Jameis Winston adds a watchability aspect to it.
Is Scadaboo still
Nope.
playing?
Still
He's
out
he's
for
out.
you.
Still out.
Yeah, they lost all.
Scooby-Doo. No more Scooby-Doo.
And no more Scooby Dooby Doo. So
So, yeah, just Jackson Dart's their only star player.
Right, a couple more.
And Bucks Rams. I'm going Bucks. Just with
Yeah.
That should have been me.
Box is like, yeah. Pick him.
Baker Mayfield. Not that good. He's mid.
whoa,
Who's that?
whoa. Baker Mayfield is not mid.
And I'm just gonna say like defense, they're pretty good, and if they can get stops on the Rams, that's really all the Rams have.
So you have a
Is
game that you split with your dad this week that you want to put a wager on?
Which one?
You guys didn't pick all the same games, so as we have to start paying our debts.
I say
Chiefs, Colts, and Chiefs.
Colts and Chiefs. I feel like that's a good one to put a wager on. It's a good game that could go either way. Kind of wager you guys feeling for this game?
What you got, Finn?
I was gonna say it was the Browns and Raiders, and then you have to get smacked in the head with a helmet. But then somebody's gonna turn into Child Protective Services.
Yeah, and then we have a case on our hands. Let's not do that.
It's the Miles Garrett Bowl.
Myles Garrett, Max Crosby Bowl. After some very serious debate, they have come up with their picks here. What is your What is the punishment for this?
So Finn's got the Colts. I don't feel great about it. I'm going with the Chiefs. But I came up with it couldn't involve obviously gross things like defiling like feces or urine or something like that. He's 9. That being said, whoever loses has to eat something of the other person's making. So go ahead, Finn. What would be mine that would just make me absolutely sick? My at least 2 favorite things.
Mashed potatoes with pickle juice.
Oh, dude.
I really don't like mashed potatoes. You don't like mashed potatoes in general.
No, they make me gag. That's crazy.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, I'm in the minority there, but I was I will die on that hill. That is the same consistency as I imagine a baby bird. Throwing up its food into its mouth. Any other type of potato would be a part of my last meal. Hash browns, French fries, baked potato, fried potatoes, any other type of potato. I can't do the texture of mashed potatoes. It just makes me gag instantly. And pickles, yeah.
What are you doing for me?
Well, I'll come up with some stuff because I know he doesn't like biscuits. Who doesn't like biscuits and gravy? And I can come up with so many gross things. Oh man. Oh, with some sardines for oh man, sardines and hot sauce.
Dude, I'm gonna go get some of those jelly bellies that taste like farts and vomit and stuff like that. And you're just gonna have to eat them one at a time out of the jar. This one tastes like vomit. This one oh, you're already struggling.
Oh,
Yeah.
all right.
Okay, that's enough because everybody's
That's a
already
good one.
been through
That's a good one though.
That is our bet of the week, I guess you could say. Hope everybody has a great week. Hope all your bets hit. Hope all your teams win, unless
You
you're the
have to do it.
Chiefs.
You have
Oh
to-
my God.
You have to do it if you lose.
Yeah. This
I'm
is
not gonna lose. The Chiefs suck.
That's
yeah.
that's
So we're
good.
putting it to it. So
All right.
we'll see what happens. But appreciate everybody for listening. Be on the lookout for Twitch and Box Sports Talk, State of the Broncos, Chiefs, and Steelers.
Oh, this just sucks.
And we're
Been a
gonna
rough week.
been a rough week for sure. Don't forget to follow us on X and drop comments down below and this what you would like to hit or if you'd like to be a guest on the podcast. But I appreciate everybody for listening. We'll catch you guys next week.